new climate science analyst, a guy named James Kimmel.
Oh.
Got a new job. It's a Business Pants
so
Friday here
excited.
show at September 19th Studios featuring analyst Hole Matt Moscardi. On today's weekly wrap-up, billionaires keep laughing, Tyson keeps the criminal Nepo baby but gets rid of corn syrup, and media tycoon villain shit. I don't know what's going on. There's a lot of bad stuff happening.
Honestly, it's like I was like angry on Tuesday's show, and now I'm just exhausted.
Our show today is being sponsored by FreeFloatAnalytics.com, the only platform measuring board power, connections, and performance for free.
You know, that's the one shining star in all of this. That we still live in a world where there aren't backroom deals to get the data. You can get it for free by our sponsor.
You want to get into it?
That's a good start. We're off to a good start.
Sighing already.
Yeah, we're already sighing. We haven't even done the first story.
Well,
of
here's
the
the good news: is that my first story is horrible, but my next three are kind of old-fashioned, nerdy corporate governance kind of stories.
Here's the better news: we can skip a bunch of your first story because I'm just going to cover it. So,
all right, so I'll tell you my first story of the week.
You gotta wait for the music. You gotta wait for the bumper. Dun, 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 dun. Doesn't that get you amped up for your story?
Sure, it's very American. I love it.
Yeah.
Okay, then tell me what I can skip over then. The story in a nutshell is Disney pulls Jimmy Kimmel's show after Kirk remarks. Now, we're not usually completely political here, but Disney is one of the companies we love talking about. So tell me what I can skip over that you're going to cover later. Yeah.
I think this is not a political story at all. I think this is a purely,
okay.
I think
that
this
sounds,
is purely
like
economic
a nutty
story.
statement. Yeah.
No, I honestly think
it could be both.
The political is cloud cover for an economic decision. This is purely economic, right?
Yeah, but but political has been a cloud cover for economic decisions maybe for a long time too, right?
Since the dawn of economic decisions.
I mean, I don't know why you need to like disentangle them. They can be both. But tell me what I should skip over that you're going to cover.
So
do you want to talk about Section 230?
Let's talk about Section 230 now.
Okay. So here's what I don't understand is that it is reigniting a debate, the assassination and maybe like pulling Jimmy Kimmel off of Disney, right? Because you're basically saying that you can't do that. So a Republican just said about Section 230 in light of this, Section 230 needs to be repealed. If you're mad at social media companies that radicalize our nation, you should be mad. I have a bill that will allow you to sue these people. They're right now they're immune from lawsuits. So why can't we replace old-fashioned broadcast media with social media? I'm not suggesting that we just sue everyone, but
well, look,
why wouldn't Section 230 be repealed in light of all this?
This is the masterful, like bananas,
hoodwink,
like
American.
It's just
oligarchy.
Like we already did the thing where. We came from the ESG industrial complex and made fun of it all the time, and then conservatives turned it into something that it wasn't, and then we had to defend ESG as it's just data.
Tough. It's tough, yeah.
Made fun of Larry Fink and BlackRock for his letters and the stupidity and the blowhardiness.
Maybe this is part of our problem is that we have too much nuance and we don't always just say this thing is evil and this is not evil. Like maybe that's what people want to hear.
Then we had to go defend Larry Fink and be like, are you kidding me? He's the biggest capitalist. Are you calling him like some sort of socialist? Now we're in the place where we are Section 230 we've been calling for the repeal of for a million years because social media companies could get away with fomenting revolution,
everything,
anything, discrimination, targeting, like they get anything.
How about just having videos of people getting assassinated? Like that, which I still haven't seen, but it sounds horrible. I mean,
like you
that
get away
children
with
can
anything.
Get to, yeah.
And now a Republican is saying, this is Lindsey Graham, the most
ludicrously hypocritical,
the
dopey,
sleaziest, like weepiest little.
He is the dopiest, hateful
he
Yeah.
only says whatever's like the most sleazy politically
Yeah,
expedient
because let's
thing
not
to say.
forget that he hated Trump before he was the clear winner of the 2016 Republican primary. He absolutely loathed him,
He hated him. He said it
hated
many,
him.
many
I mean, they
times.
all did, to be
and,
fair.
and then came out and he was literally licking Trump's ass like for
Yeah.
the last 10 years.
But
So Lindsey Graham is the one saying that it should be repealed so that that will allow, quote unquote, you to sue these people. The you here is the important gaslight. It doesn't allow you like a MAGA conservative who feels bad or like Democrat or like trans person, or it doesn't allow you so much to sue them because there's no money you have to sue them with, right? What it allows is the US government to censor them
you had to decide who is and who
by
isn't.
regulating it.
Yeah,
right?
but is there a liberal version of the social media anyway? Like, does that exist?
Not anymore. But
Yeah.
but the great like con game here is we are now using Charlie Kirk as a means to regulate and censor all speech, and
Well,
repealing Section 230
Yeah.
is the completion of that. It's
Yeah.
algorithmic autocracy. It's already happened. So I talked to a friend of mine who's been talking about how LinkedIn algorithms like suppress,
Owned by
if
Microsoft.
if you talk about women, LinkedIn owned by Microsoft. If you talk about women or diversity, Microsoft has a lot of very large government contracts that they do not want to lose. The Trump
They fall
administration,
asleep when you do that. They start to yawn.
the Trump administration has been trying to clamp down on DEI and anything that has to do with women and black people. Sorry, women and black people and
That
gays.
gets
Like,
play. That's okay.
that if we're clamping
Anti-DEI
down
is
on
fun.
you guys, it's fine. We can say that all day long.
Yeah.
But in order to do that,
Defending
Microsoft
civil
can't
rights
just
is bad.
stop posting, like stop you posting. Instead, what they could do is algorithmically suppress you. So
Yeah, they could put you in a pillowcase and throw you off a bridge.
that's basically what's the algorithmic version
Yeah,
of
that's
that.
what it says.
So when you post about DEI, you might have 50,000 followers and one of them will see it, right? Like because
Well-
the algorithm says like we don't want to show this anymore.
Yeah.
But if you post about AI and how spectacular it is, then 100,000 followers of your 50,000 actually see it, right? Like that's the way the algorithm works. It already picks what we get to see. We all know that. Repealing Section 230 would mean that every social media platform would be subject to giving its algorithm and or data to the government because they would have to prove that they're not discriminating or suppressing in a way that the government has decided is discrimination or suppression. And B, they are open to liability for what you write. So if the Trump administration wants to sue you for being discriminatory against white people, right? That's what the
They
anti-DEI
do
thing is.
want to do that, yes.
That means if I post on LinkedIn about the just pure data about how few women have power on boards, Microsoft is liable for that post when the
Suing you
government
for
says you're
discrimination.
discriminating against men.
Yeah. Well, this is the joy of being friends with all the CEOs of these companies, right? As that dinner highlighted, that big lunch they had a few weeks ago, right? Is that the CEOs can kind of help you cherry pick what data they share and who they help you sue and don't sue and
But the repeal would mean that the algorithms would fundamentally have to change
let's
to
just
kill anything the administration doesn't want to see.
let's just
which is
let's just stop
algorithmic
pretending.
autocracy.
Let's just stop pretending that it's going to be repealed.
There
Can we?
is a strong likelihood in this country with this Congress before the midterms that they will try to repeal it in order to bring in line Alphabet, Microsoft. They won't touch Musk. They're not going to touch Musk. They're not
Or
going to go
Zuck.
after Rumble. They're
Or
not going to
Larry
go
Ellison.
after Truth Social.
Yeah.
Remember, fucking Donald Trump owns a social media company that's
Yeah.
protected under 230.
Let's not forget that. And one of the stories I have that's part of the whole Kirk thing is that Larry Ellison now, we talked about him last week, that he's, buying media companies. Now he's in line to take over TikTok.
Explain to me. Somebody back me up. Explain to me where the conservatives in this country hate the mainstream media, the leftist lying mainstream media. What in the mainstream media is leftist? There is
I
no
don't.
left.
Yeah, I
It's
don't
owned
know.
by
Even
oh, it's,
even MSNBC fired someone over their remarks about Kirk, and the Comcast CEO agreed. You know, because it was. I mean, it was their decision, but yeah.
I mean, Comcast is right. Disney is on the right. Basically, I mean, that's like, it's family friendly. Like Bob Iger is the
Don't
is
say.
pulled.
All right, can we stop saying family friendly? Disney is much more than just Disney. I mean, you know how many like franchises they own, including
I
things
mean, they
like
do gambling,
Hulu
which
and
is now family friendly. Yeah.
Hulu, ESPN. I mean, you know how many like horrible like shows that depict like violence against women, serial killers, or making fun of people for their addictions.
I'm
I mean,
just saying.
that's part of Disney too, though. Can we be real?
I'm just saying there is no sort of left-leaning
Well,
liberal ideology media
this
at this point.
this is
It's
why
either
yeah,
right-leaning or not,
super right.
like or
Yeah.
like economically, flaccid.
This is why my first reaction when Jimmy Kimmel lost his show was I was really thinking it from the perspective of Jimmy Kimmel, thinking like I'm not really sorry for Jimmy Kimmel because this is where it gets confusing. The nuance of these things is that my perspective has been for a long time is why do a handful of billionaires control all the media going out to Americans anyway? Like, why does Jimmy Kimmel need to be working for Disney? Why can't he work for independent media? Why can't he work for nonprofit media? Why does he need tens of millions of dollars a year to tell corny jokes? I mean, why is everything funneled through like a few CEOs and a few corporations and a few families? Like, how did we get to here in the first place? I know this story is much more complicated than just that one point, but that's where I started in my mind. Is like, why do a few family? Why does Larry Ellison now and Jeff Bezos? Why are they the ones deciding who is funny and who gets to talk at midnight? And none of it makes sense to me
Because Jeff Bezos is the arbiter of funny, isn't he?
I mean,
Isn't he?
otherwise, you're just lost in a sea of like voices that nobody listens to because you're not part of a corporate entity that gets pushed out to millions of families. But anyway, this is a very complicated story. We've already gone into it more than maybe we should because you're going to cover it in As Holiest, right? You're going to cover some of the because I was going to talk about Nexstar. I was going to talk about Sinclair.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about them a little bit.
About Brendan Carr, FCC chair. I don't know what you want me. You want me to skip over all this? You want to cover it later?
Let's skip over it and bring it
All
back
right, that's
when we
the
get
first
to
story of the week.
Holiest.
That's the first story of the week. Although, again, I was going to mention the very important story also going on, which I think is very much related to because you're right. This is the economic undertones here are probably way more important. The oligarchic undertones to this decision are more important than this fake culture war that they're using to distract all of us and make us hate our neighbors. Because at the same time, as I said already, Larry Ellison and Mark Andreessen, of all people, creepy old white dudes, I mean, you can't get much creepier, are poised to take over a social media app that is basically it's basically the playground of young people, right?
60% of
I think it's 70% or 18 to 34.
60% of people on TikTok get their news from TikTok.
70% of them are 18 years old to 34, and I'm sure those numbers are even higher for under 18, but they don't technically keep those stats because they pretend that teenagers, that young kids don't use the app, but we know they do.
I mean,
how the hell are those two old creepy MAGA Republicans going to be controlling
everything we see? Everything young people see, everything we use in modern news will be owned by the Ellison family, Elon Musk, Sergey and Larry, or anybody else. Like, is there anybody else? Zuckerberg.
Except of
that's
course,
it. That's everything.
The argument would go, of course, that you don't have to watch Jimmy Kimmel, but so there you go. But you also
I don't even like Jimmy Kimmel.
You don't have to, but you also don't have to download and use TikTok or Instagram. Like, this is the part of Americans and the world I don't really understand, is that they feel like compelled to do the things that they know are bad. Like, I know there's a poll that they all hate AI, they all hate social media, but they can't stop using it.
because it's addictive. Because because
Okay.
they've
Well,
they've
so is
they have
crack and
literally
heroin, but
ju-
people
yeah,
are pretty good
but
about
it's
not
like
doing that.
cigarettes. How long did it take to get rid of cigarettes?
Well,
It's
they did.
100 years.
Yeah, it
They
did take a while.
finally did it, but they
Yeah.
had manufactured cigarettes to be so addictive that getting off of them was nearly impossible for people. These are
It's
worse
not easy.
because
Yeah.
we're giving them to children, and the addiction, they know. There was internal memos from TikTok that leaked last year that showed that TikTok use for 30 minutes is all it took to become fully addicted to the service.
Not only that, but
And
it's completely,
when you
it's
gave it to
completely
children.
free. Like you can't
That's
even get a meditation
faster.
app. A meditation app costs you like $30 a month, but TikTok is
Meditation
completely free.
app? What do you mean? You can go outside. Just
But I'm just saying that like
meditate. Just sit.
every app seems to be for sale except for the ones that get you addicted. Okay, all right, can we move on? I have 3 other stories.
Yeah, let's go to the other ones. This is
Ugh.
already too much.
This is not none of this is my fault. I didn't kill anyone. Ooh, okay, let's get to the nerdy stuff. This is something that I know you're gonna mock me for, but I'm the one who put my flag in this immediately. I'm the only one who talked about him.
You're the
I'm the o-
Neil Armstrong.
I'm the only one who knew that this was the only important part of this story, and everyone made fun of me. By everyone, I mean no one, because
Just
no one
me.
listens to the show. But the story is that Nestle chair to step down after abrupt CEO firing. After I guess Nestle investors demand that chair Paul Bulke resign. So he's gone, or he's about to leave. This is I don't remember the story. This is reminding me of the other story where a European chair also stepped down after
yeah,
pressure.
there was one recently. Yeah.
It's the same thing because now here's what Paul Bulke is saying. He's saying I have full trust in Nestle's new leadership. Which maybe you shouldn't. Maybe you should find
yeah,
someone
don't
else.
say that on the way out.
He also said this is the right moment for me to step aside and accelerate the planned transition. I mean, come on, dude. Like, you're getting pushed out because you're sucking. Don't give me this like this is the right moment for me to step aside. I mean, you messed up. You've been there for 20 years. You made all the wrong decisions. You're responsible for all this. Why can't you take a good firing? Why can't you take some response? Don't tell me this is the right time.
Well,
Stop.
I mean, his
on.
first draft, he wrote, "I thank Nestle for allowing me to be here
Uh-huh.
at all because I wasn't that good at my job."
Yeah.
But then he crumpled that one up and went with this. Look, you called it when the story broke. So just as a refresher, if you don't listen to the show, because I know no one
What?
does.
Who doesn't listen to the show? Yeah.
Nestle's CEO was fired after 1 year of being the CEO, fired
For
by the board.
Relationship
because
with a subordinate or something?
apparently multiple, but there was an investigation the board did. The board found nothing. Then there was another whistleblower that came and said, no, you got to look harder. The board brought in a third party. The third party, the lawyers, found something, and it was bad enough that they fired the CEO immediately. That CEO was hand chosen. Paul Bulke was the CEO of Nestle a decade ago. He's been the executive chair effectively for the last 10 years. He is a consummate insider. He's been at Nestle for 47 years. So he's handpicking CEOs as we go. They haven't had any good ones recently. The stock sucks. Nobody likes it. Everyone's worried about it. And you said, this isn't a story about the CEO of Nestle and his affairs. This is a story about the chair, Paul Bulke, and how that guy should get fired.
The first
Maybe
thing
it's
I
time you
said.
get fired. You
Yeah.
said it was the first thing you said, and you pulled up Free Flow Analytics, our sponsor.
Everybody
data,
laughed at me.
and
Yeah, that's
looked
right.
it
That's
up,
true.
and you said like
He
he's the
controls
most
the board.
influential person on the
Yeah.
board. It's right there. Like this
The
is
CEO's
how it
not
should
wasn't
happen.
even on the board.
And, yep, that's correct. Well, it's a European
Although,
company, so it's
Well,
that's
still
more normal.
I will say that I'm skeptical because the new chair was a board member, Pablo Issa. He's been there for 7 years. The new lead independent director is a director, Dick Barr. He's been on the board for several years. And then the new vice chair is also a current Nestle board member. So it's not much of a refreshment because the new CEO also came from Nestle. So, they're kind of getting it wrong still, but it's a good start.
Well, the
getting rid
new
of Paul
CEO was
Bulke.
chosen by Bulke. The question will be
Right.
whether the new board basically makes
What
that
new board?
CEO
What new
the,
board?
like the ex Paul
The
Bulke
non-Bulke board.
Yeah, that's what I'll say. The ex Bulke board. Yeah, actually decides like no,
But
you're
he
going to be
picked
the
everyone.
interim CEO.
Right.
instead of, and then
All
we'll
right.
find somebody from the outside. But
Nobody
it's a
cares
good
about
poll.
Nestle
It's
but
a good
me,
poll.
but I just wanted to pat
Yeah,
myself
you
in the
really
back.
just wanted to be right.
Yeah, the third story, a new ally against excessive CEO pay, Pope Leo.
No. Woo.
Pope Leo had a quote that actually kind of sounds like me, a bit mush-mouthy, a bit like moral hand-wringing, but that's what I guess a pope would do, right? They mumble
Yeah, that's what the
and
Pope's
they worry
supposed to
about
do.
morality.
Not
I'm
a
not,
business
I'm not
news
comparing myself
podcaster.
to the Pope, by the way. I'm just saying that I'm mush-mouthy and I'm do a lot of moral hand-wringing. Here's what he had to say about the pay package that will be going to Elon Musk, of course, because shareholders will approve this monstrosity. This that will probably make him the world's first trillionaire. He said, "What does that mean, and what's that about? If that is the only thing that has value anymore, then we're in big trouble." That I like that. What does that mean, and what's that about? That's a very
Yeah.
wise man who says something like that.
Or confused.
Yeah, that's
Like-
how I felt about it. Like,
like-
I was like, "What the hell is going on?" Like, and why are we arguing about all the articles about like the governance of it and like whether he's worth it? I'm just like, what are we talking about? Like,
Look,
this is not the direction of that humanity
Pope
needs to
Leo.
be going in.
Pope Leo, come on our
Pope
show.
understands me. Pope
Come
gets
on our
me.
show first of all, because
I'm not even
only can we can
Catholic.
explain what it means.
Pope
we
loves
can
me.
explain. We can also explain that it's not the new package that will make him a trillionaire. The new package will make him an extra trillionaire. Remember, he was going to make 1.7 trillion anyway,
Ugh.
and then he's going to be worth 2.7 trillion. He gets an extra trillion. So that's
Well-
why it's so confusing. What does that mean? Is really wait, how many trillions? Just one, or is it multiple?
Yeah. Well, I'll say related to that story is Bernie back at it. Bernie has a bill called the Tax Excessive CEO Pay Act. Essentially, I'm not going to go into all the details, but I think the Pope would like this too. It's a new tax that would apply to companies with a CEO to median worker pay ratio of 50-1 or greater, which I have to laugh at because when was the last time we had a CEO pay ratio of 50-1? Was that like the year 1412? Like, this, I mean, that's but look, Bernie, he's got his heart in the right place. I support it. It obviously will. Well, I don't know. Does this have any? Is there a bipartisan world where this could pass? I mean,
No.
You would think the MAGA voters would also hate excessive CEO pay.
Well,
no?
first of all, Bernie made it the CEO pay ratio already.
People are
that,
like,
people
huh?
are like,
just
wait,
like the
what-
Pope. They're like, what? What is this
What's
about?
a pay rate? What is that number?
Yeah.
even
Well, he had to,
mean?
but he had to do it based on data. He couldn't be like Jeffrey Sonnenfeld and just do it by hunches and who
shots fired.
and who he thinks is like making too much money because they are or are not a wizard or something like
Let's
that.
come back to that.
Right?
But look, the details of this are actually a bit interesting because it's a graduated tax, right? It's like 1 percentage point for 100 to 200 to 1 CEO pay ratio, and then 2% for 200 to 300 to 1. You know what when I saw this, you know what I immediately thought?
No.
Isn't this the salary cap for every sports team?
Mm.
Isn't that what this is?
Right.
This
This
basically
is right. I know in the NBA, like if you go over a certain amount, you have to like pay.
you're
back
paying a
into the
tax. You're paying the
coffers, right?
salary tax.
back to the league to other teams.
Why on earth doesn't this work
I don't-
for CEOs?
I think the Pope is high fiving us right now. I know that.
I mean,
All right.
like Bernie, you're
Yeah.
right. Like this is you should basically call it the salary cap, and only make analogies to sports teams and say you're welcome to pay your CEO $1 trillion, but there is a salary cap tax. You're
I have
just going to
this-
pay more with $1 trillion.
I don't get high very often. Let's say like it's down to like 2 or 3 times a year. But I had this insipid idea the last time I got high, I think last winter, where I was trying to think of like how can we incentivize these horrible men to stop taking all the wealth, these CEOs. So it's like, what if just like the NFL, because like people like Tom Brady, yeah, money's important, but really they want the trophy. Like
Yeah,
it's
they
all
wanna
about
win. It's a toy.
Michael Jordan. They want to win, right? It's not
Yeah.
just about the money. Like there's other things going on. So I thought, what if we capped CEO pay, at a reasonable ratio? And what if we made a tournament every year where we took the top 30
I love this.
CEOs and we gave them some kind of dumb trophy that they could hold up just like they did, right? I'm dead serious. This is
the best idea you've
I
ever
have
had.
so many pages of notes of this, of course. I was high, I'm warning you. But I was like, is this the way out of this? So,
I
so maybe Elon Musk, 10 years from now is like, dude, I won 7 of the last trophies. I'm clearly the best. Like,
I think that's all
worship
it is,
me.
isn't it? Like,
Meanwhile, we've like secretly clawed back all his horrible wealth because we've given him a dumb trophy.
I love the first
That
of
was
all,
my idea. Yeah.
I am not high, and I love that idea. And second of
Well,
all,
I'll send you the notes. There's like 20
I
pages
really
of
want
notes.
I really want to be on the committee that designs the trophy.
The
like,
trophy,
because
yeah.
it's got to
It'll
be
look like a Jeff
amazing.
Bezos space rocket, probably.
It's
yeah.
got to be
Phallic.
like, first of all, it's got to be phallic.
It
Yeah,
has
it's got to be a
phallic,
giant
yeah.
penis,
Of course.
right? And second of all, how many diamonds are on the trophy?
Oh my God, yeah. Because now the new thing, like I know in the NFL, the new horrible thing that all the horrible owners do is when their dumb players won some dumb game, they give them these diamond encrusted rings. It's like 290 diamonds encrusted
it's
on a
nuts.
ring worth $80 million. It's like what's happening?
I would love
I wonder
to
how the
get
Pope
basically
feels about those
give
rings. Yeah,
like Jeff Bezos a penis-shaped diamond trophy.
why not?
For being the best leader.
And I'll let him. I'll let him go around saying I'm the best. That's fine.
Well, I mean, why wait? Let's just set up the tournament now. We'll just set
Okay,
the
well,
rules of the tournament.
I got
love
that's
this.
where I got
I
way
love
down
this.
because as my high was wearing off and I was actually trying to come up with a methodology with this, I got overwhelmed quite
No, that-
quickly.
that's-
It's the
that's
methodology that
where-
gets you. All right, the fourth story of the week is just a dumb, horrible one. Speaking of like the oligarchy growing stronger, CEO power growing, this one is just so dumb and yet will be our future. Exxon, it's always Exxon. Exxon to offer auto voting to counter shareholder activism. So here's how it works. Once you're enrolled, an investor's shares will be automatically voted in accordance with the board's recommendations on all proposals at shareholder meetings. And
Wow.
one of their stated rationale for this is that Exxon believes this will level the playing field. It's a matter of fairness.
Yeah,
Because their fake culture war in the corporate world is that shareholder activisms, can we insert like an Antifa guy in a hood or something, are taking over corporate America with their shareholder proposals. They're taking down corporate America. So I mean, how long before this just happens in the real democracy, right? Why don't we have auto voting for all the, like, if you're Christian or if you live in Montana or I don't know, if you're under the age of 30, you can do auto voting. Or if you're black, how about all black people auto vote for Eric Trump or something? I don't know. I mean, why not, right?
A lot of reasons why not. But look,
I hate this. I hate this so much.
We had on our Proxy Countdown show Brooklyn law professor Sarah Hahn, and
Probably
she
knows more about me than everything I talk about.
she talked about how a lot of these things we're seeing in the federal democracy, like the actual democracy, the quote unquote real democracy, are actually starting to be ported over from corporate democracies. The same tricks and things that they do. And the reason why is because we're seeing more sort of business leaders running for office and using corporate democracy tricks in the federal democracy. So you're not wrong that if you start instituting some sort of like insto vote to stop the liberal activists, because that's what this is. This is the liberal activists they're against, right?
This has already been an idea thrown around by the Charlie Kirks of the world. I'm not kidding. Which is that men, the family leader, should actually hold the only vote and should vote for the household.
Should vote for the whole household,
and that goes along with these. Remember the old fashioned voting rules where only property owners, right, could vote, certainly, and even going back further to slaves and how much a black person's vote was worth, blah 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 blah. I mean, this is actually not that outlandish if you think about it.
Not only is it not that outlandish, but the SEC is actively making it harder for, if you're a shareholder. Ann Lipton of the Shareholder Primacy Podcast just wrote about this week, where they are allowing companies to do mandatory arbitration between investors and the companies, meaning if you want to bring a lawsuit against a company as an investor because they made some shitty decision that lost you money, you can't do a class action with other investors. You have to individually arbitrate with that company.
Unbelievable.
And that is a way to stifle any lawsuit, any payouts. The amount of power that's being consolidated with just corporate executives and the boards. The boards are your last thing that you can do. You cannot engage. The SEC guidance is you can't engage in this country anymore because you could be labeled an activist and then you have to file so much paperwork that it's not worth your engagement. You can't talk to them. In fact, there are reports last year during proxy season that BlackRock and Vanguard and State Street had to sit quietly and listen. While the boards just told them what they were doing, they did not ask questions because they were terrified they would get sued by the companies or labeled as activists. And they can't do that because it's too expensive for them to do that. The result here is you have one thing left. And if you don't do it now, you'll never, and I mean never, get to do it. You have to vote against directors. You have to vote
I'll say
them
this too.
out, period, or you don't get a chance.
And I agree with you. That's the investor's perspective, and I always take the normal stakeholder perspective because I'm not an investor, but which is know the boards, just know who these people are, know how these decisions are made, who is making them, why they're making them. The decision to get rid of Jimmy Kimmel had almost everything to do with the fact that Nexstar and Sinclair, their boards of directors, are trying to take over media. Basically, they're trying to control a huge percentage of the market of the media, and they're trying to kiss the ass of the FCC to get this done because they need the FCC to change regulations so that they can broadcast to like 90% of America at once. But there are boards of directors and company founders and founding families that are making these decisions. It's not like there's no just like a monolith statue called the Sinclair Broadcasting Company. There are people on boards making the decisions. So know this. I mean, even if you're not an investor, the knowledge is important as well.
All right. So we've got 4 stories of the week. Disney pulls Kimmel. Nestle chair steps down.
Imagine if you pick Nestle as your story of the week.
Pope Leo. Why not Pope Leo?
Well, I think that's actually more intriguing than Nestle. I mean,
it's not the story of the week. And Exxon auto voting.
Could be Exxon.
Look, I'm going to reserve Disney pulling Kimmel.
What?
Because
come on, how's that not the story of the week? What are you doing?
It is the story of the week, but I'm going to give you asshole options just out of that anyway.
Fine.
So like I don't want to spend my whole life thinking about that
pick
anymore.
One. Let's move on.
I'm going to pick Exxon auto voting. I'm going to pick no joke.
This is why we're hemorrhaging audience because you're picking Exxon.
I want you to think about this.
From 2 to 1. That is.
I want you to think about this. While we are subverting free speech under the guise of,
it's really the same story. It's the same story.
It's the same story. Yeah. But this is direct. This is a direct subversion of a democracy. This is literally saying, give me your votes. The trade that Exxon just made was essentially saying we have 40% of our shareholders are retail shareholders. And of those 40%, only 25% vote. But just think about that. That means they can get 10% of the voting power. If they can access those retail investors, they bought 10% of the voting power for $0. They own their own company. The board owns the company for $0. They bought 10% of the company. If you were an activist investor to get 10% of the company, you'd spend billions of dollars. Exxon's board said, I got an idea. We can buy 10% of the company for $0 by letting the morons auto vote.
Auto vote. Even the name is dystopian. Auto voting.
It's all a big deal, but that's a big deal.
I feel like, and I know I'm going to date myself now, although there was recently a Blade Runner movie, but now everything just feels like very Blade Runner to me. Auto voting? Like really? Yeah. Like auto voting? All right. Can we speed this show up a bit? Yeah.
That'll be fast. It'll be fast.
Maybe we should start more upbeat.
No.
I hope
because then we don't
end
lose the show
people.
hating ourselves.
I'm gonna go quickly on this. Yeah, I'll go quickly so that you can take over. Tyson Foods.
Oh, the
Now,
Tyson family, you mean?
yeah, Tyson family. Now they're keeping the guy, the nepo baby who gets arrested a lot,
On the
and
board. He stays on
who
the
was
board,
so
right?
bad they had to fire CFO. They're keeping him on the board,
I love
but
when you fire him as your
CFO.
employee and then put him as a fiduciary of the company. That's my
Yeah.
favorite. Yeah.
but but they are ditching corn syrup.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. Less, it's +1 on the nepo baby column, but -1 on the corn syrup column.
Yeah,
That's
so
pretty good.
I'm okay with that, right? I mean, I actually tend to not buy products anymore that have high fructose corn syrup. So I guess that's good, right? Is this good?
This is all part of our RFK Jr., right?
Not that I need the sugar. Yeah, go ahead. What do you have?
All right, I've got two for you. First up, new poll finds that Americans loathe AI. That's
Well,
doesn't that feel
yeah.
good?
I guess.
53% of just over 5,000 U.S. adults polled in June think that AI will, quote, worsen people's ability to think creatively,
Sure.
because everyone was thinking creatively before.
I mean, I gotta say,
50%,
I don't know how creative most Americans are, but yeah, go ahead.
50% say AI will deteriorate our ability to form meaningful relationships.
That's already happening. Yes.
That's already
Well,
done.
that's-
So I'm glad
but
that
that's
America recognizes.
but that's the
Recognize
internet.
America.
That's the internet in general, though. That's social media, especially accelerated that. Yeah, there's definitely a loneliness epidemic happening. Yeah.
Well, here's the other one, and this happened yesterday. Northeast U.S. states form health alliance in response to federal vaccine limits.
Well,
So if you're live in the Northeast, where
Yes.
Damien and I both are,
Thank
both of our
God.
states are part of the Northeast Health Alliance, and it is basically the states have formed their own version of the CDC to give recommendations about vaccines.
this is my dream anyway. I mean, I'm ready. Like, let's secede. I don't
Yeah,
need to be a
it's-
part of any of it. Yeah.
I think it's great. I think it's
Yeah.
great.
All right.
Who are we voting for here? I'm not voting for Tyson's nepo baby.
Let's just do Northeast U.S. states because we live there. I mean,
right,
you
I
got
like
to
that.
fight back. You got to have some ways of fighting back, right?
I like that. But by the way,
It's not like Bob Iger, who's just like, I don't care.
New
about-
Hampshire not a part of it. New Hampshire's the only Northeast state.
Is that right?
That's right. We got Pennsylvania.
Live
we
free
got,
or die. Live free
we
or
got
die wants to be
Pennsylvania,
told.
New
what
York,
to do.
Connecticut, Rhode Island, Maine, and
What happened
Vermont,
to the
not
live
New
free or
Hampshire.
die people? They used to be like, don't tell us what to do. Like when I was a kid. But
I
now-
guess it's a Republican
anyway.
state now. It's got a
Good for them.
Republican governor, and
Good
they
for them.
can't sign on because they can't look like they're against Trump. Because
Oh,
dear leader
yeah.
would get
Why
upset.
would you do that? All right.
So-
all
All right, let's
move
do
on.
asshole.
Oh no.
Yeah, baby. We're making horrible time. Let's get through this.
I'm gonna try to shut up.
This is a question. This is a simple question. Which capitalist is the bigger asshole? We
Oh.
know.
I
We
hope you're
know.
starting with beautiful Bob,
I am. We know that Disney yanked Kimmel.
because no one's talking about Bob Iger. So I'm glad you're talking about Bob Iger.
Someone is. Our favorite Jeff Sonnenfeld is talking about Bob
I'm glad you're
Iger.
going to talk about that. I didn't want
And
to.
that's going to come up here. I'm going to talk about that some.
Yeah.
But there are three actors, economic actors, in play here. And I'm going to tell you them up front. You've already mentioned them. We have Bob Iger and Disney. So Bob, beautiful Bob. We have a guy named Perry Sook, who is the CEO and
yeah.
founder of Nextstar.
Yep.
Who Nextstar
Founder,
is
CEO,
attempting-
chair. His ego is so small he needs all three of them. Yeah.
You get three. You got
Founder,
you got the
CEO, chair.
triple crown. He is trying to acquire Tegna for $6 billion, which could consolidate 80% of U.S. household local news
Think about that.
stations.
Think
He
about
would
that. And I
own-
think right now the limit is 39%, which is
limit
already
is
too high
39%.
to me. But 39% is the limit.
And David Deniston Smith, the CEO,
Yes,
founder.
the Smith family, a nepo baby.
So not founder, because he's
nepo
the
baby.
nepo baby. Daddy Sinclair actually started this company. Sinclair. They own 20% of ABC affiliates.
In
So-
fact, yeah, I was going to say that I have a new data point for MSCI that a board 44% Smith family. That board.
That
44%.
is the board. It is
So
nuts.
yeah.
That's-
Yeah, so an anti-DEI person would say it's too many Smiths, right? Wouldn't Robbie Starbuck think too many Smiths?
No.
Oh, okay, I'm confused now. Oh, because the meritocracy
The
lets in
meritocracy
family
lets
members.
all the Smiths in.
Family
They
members are
earned it.
okay.
They
Okay.
earned it.
Okay.
All right, let's start with Iger. Iger yanks Kimmel, and he yanks Kimmel because of pressure So the way this works, and it's important to know a little bit about the way this works. The way this works is Bob Iger, Disney own ABC. ABC effectively licenses its broadcasting down to local channels. The local channels are owned by local broadcasters. That's sort of the pyramid here. The local broadcasters have choices about whether to carry ABC or not carry ABC, to put on their programming or not. The local broadcasters are the ones who are basically went to Iger and said, hey, man, you got to stop Kimmel. We don't like what he said about Charlie Kirk. We'll get into them in a second. But there are reasons why Bob Iger effectively, he made a trade, a political expediency now for cash. Because what he's been trying to do is in 2023, Iger was in talks with Nexstar to actually buy ABC outright. Nexstar wanted to own ABC, the channel, the whole channel. Okay. That deal didn't go through. In 2023, though, Disney did pen a deal with Nexstar to get affiliate stations to sell them broadcasting. Iger's losing money on linear television. He's trying to get out of it.
Why do they even want ABC?
He's trying to get out of it, but Nexstar actually, by consolidating it, they effectively would take on, they would own a channel on they own all the broadcasting, right? Like, so they own all the local channels. Like, and when I say local channels, I mean, there's a place that I drive by. It's like a building with a giant antenna on the top that's broadcasting out television, right? Like that's what I mean. It's the local channel. Nexstar's ABC agreement expires December of 2026, and Nexstar would be buying ABC affiliations, 14% currently, but if they buy Tegna, it'll be 21%. They'll own 21% of all ABC affiliations, okay? So Iger is super happy because that would mean, great, Nexstar is going to own more of ABC. It's going to be easier for us to do a deal with Nexstar. Just sell them all of ABC.
It'd be fine. But meanwhile, as I said, it would mean the FCC would have to change a rule because that would mean that Nexstar would be able to broadcast to like almost 90% of the country.
Nexstar would own like 80% of the country's basically local television stations,
right.
which is real bad.
It's a consolidation that does nothing but sort of destroy a democracy. But go ahead.
But so Iger makes a purely economic decision,
I guess,
cloaked in political.
Maybe a very short term. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Who knows? Maybe this could be the wrong decision for Disney, though. I don't know.
Well, here is what there's a lot of backlash against Disney and Iger right now. Yeah. A lot of backlash because he basically is stifling free speech so he can offload an asset, right? Like, which is pretty heinous shit to do.
Stifling free speech against a man who was shot, whose number one thing really was free speech and free speech absolutism. Right?
Oh, the things he said on his show. Listen to his show.
Well, that's the weird thing about all this
is that it wouldn't make it on the ABC's channel. That's for sure.
I want to be clear about one thing. This is the only time you'll ever hear me support Charlie Kirk because this guy was just an abhorrent human being. Every day I read more about what he thinks and said, and what an asshole. But that's not the point. This is the only time I'll support him. I actually don't think Charlie Kirk would support firing Jimmy Kimmel for this because how could you?
I don't know.
I mean, it doesn't really matter what he thinks, but yeah.
So there are people who are defending it, and it's not just like these sort of like MAGA types on the right who are defending yanking Kimmel. It is your favorite troll, Jeffrey Sonnenfeld, a Yale professor.
I don't get this guy. This guy is my arch nemesis. If only I wish he knew about me so he could hear me disliking him.
He just penned
this guy's the worst.
Op-ed in Fortune where it is a full-throated defense of Bob Iger.
Why do you let this guy do all these vanity posts? I don't really understand.
He's done 5 years of apologies for Iger.
He's a CEO apologist in general.
All he does is come out, and Iger apparently has been awarded by him and his group. He knows him like from conferences that he throws on an annual basis that gets together all of these CEOs. All he does is sort of blow CEOs. That's what he does. Here's what Sonnenfeld had to say, quote, Iger has been a fearless, equal opportunity offender in defending Disney's corporate character, whether from intrusions by the left or by the right.
He makes it. he makes a case because they got rid of the Roseanne show a few years ago.
He was criticized harshly from many on the political right in 2018 when he canceled Roseanne, when the star imploded with a cruel racial tirade about President Obama's former top advisor, Valerie Jarrett. So, what Roseanne Barr said, what Kimmel said, was that MAGA Republicans didn't want the shooter to be MAGA. They were doing everything they could to make it not seem like he was one of them, right?
Yeah.
That's what he said.
That's very human, yes.
Because Kimmel was making a joke about MAGA really doesn't want, it would be really bad for them if the shooter was MAGA.
Yeah.
I'm not even sure how that's offensive. What Roseanne Barr said was that Valerie Jarrett, a black woman, was from Planet of the Apes.
Yeah.
I don't think that's the same.
No.
I don't think that's
Matt,
even close.
You can drop the I think part. It is not the same. Yeah.
So what Disney did was cancel using the right outrage as cloud cover in order to sell more assets to broadcasters. They basically just turned themselves into Target. They did the immediately politically expedient thing for cash. They did it for cash.
I don't know if
and
you're
we'll
going to
know how much it's worth when they're done with the merger and they sell ABC eventually to either Nexstar or Sinclair.
I don't know what's up with this dope, Jeffrey Sonnenfeld, and I feel sad about it because I'm a very proud New Englander. I'm one of the reasons I'm very proud about New England is the amount of incredible education that happens here, not just from the Ivy League schools, but this is the cradle of education in the globe. There's just so many incredible schools here. So I'm ashamed of this dope. This dope pretends to be an academic. He called Bob Iger once a magic wielding wizard. He called him a wizard.
Yeah, he's a wizard. I think that's an academic term.
Is it? It's based on data and empirical research, peer reviewed.
Yeah.
What are we doing? What are we doing?
He had somebody research wizardry and then applied it. Yeah.
He also said, and I don't know if you're gonna get to this, but he also said he also made this assertion that what Jimmy Kimmel said was wrong. There is no dispute on that.
Yes.
What kind of an academic makes these declarations like this? Is he does he want to be part of a Disney superhero movie where he throws like truth bomb? He's the truth bomber or something like.
Well, let's come back to that.
Does Jeffrey Sonnenfeld define truth? Like, what is wrong with this guy?
Let's come back to that because
he's basically Robbie Starbuck. He's Robbie Starbuck to me.
That might be true. That might be true that he does want to don a superhero suit.
I don't get this guy.
But I wanted to give you asshole action items this week. Okay. Disney's next AGM is March of 2026. That is before all of the Nexstar affiliations run out in December. You can buy Disney stock now. You'll be before the record date with the intention of voting out every star fucky director on that board.
I got to tell you, man.
Bob Iger does not get to yank Jimmy Kimmel without having a conversation with his board. If he doesn't have the conversation with his board, because he's publicly owned, he's on the board. If he doesn't talk to anybody else on the board, then clearly the board is pointless. You don't need any of them anyway.
Is this not
if he did have the conversation, then they agreed to this.
Is this not feeling like a COVID redux? Didn't we joke that last time that Bob Iger bailed, he didn't want to deal with what it is to run a company under COVID? Don't you feel like that? Because he's going to leave again.
Retiring. He's
Wouldn't
retiring
now be a good time to kind of bow out of this?
No, he's going to wait until 2026, then he bows out. Look, you can vote out every director on this board, but you have a bonus option. If you buy shares of Coca-Cola, GM, Under Armour, Procter & Gamble, Reckitt, Benckiser, Bristol Myers, Target, Carlisle, and Lululemon, you can vote out the same board members on those boards because they're on multiple boards. And guess what? If they make shit decisions in one place, chances are they're making shit decisions everywhere. So that would be Mel Lagomasino, who's on the Coca-Cola board. She's on the Disney board and the Coca-Cola board. Carolyn Everson on the Disney board and the Coca-Cola board. You basically, it's like a twofer. It's like a cheap sale, right? You get rid of Mary Barra at GM. I don't care that she's the CEO. Get rid of Everson at Under Armour. Amy Chang's on Procter & Gamble. Jeremy Derrick. Look, go to freeflowanalytics.com. Look at the Disney board. Pull them up. You can see, if you click through every single one of them, what other boards they're on and vote them out there too. fun bonus option. Vote out Jeffrey Sonnenfeld, who is on the board of the Lenner Corporation. If Jeffrey
that's
Sonnenfeld,
also incredible to me. It's incredible that this guy pretends to be like unbiased.
if he
He's a part of the protected class of S&P 500 directors, essentially.
This is the same Jeffrey Sonnenfeld who came to the defense of, in no particular order, Dave Calhoun of Boeing, who basically resigned in disgrace after Sonnenfeld came out saying like he was quote unquote laser focused. He came out in defense.
I forgot that was Sonnenfeld. Yeah.
He came out in the defense of the Norfolk Southern CEO.
Yes, of course.
Versus Ancora. He came out in defense of Iger against Peltz. If this guy only sides with CEOs, how on earth is he supposed to represent shareholders on the board of a corporation with a CEO on the board?
And again, the part that bugs me most about Sonnenfeld has always been his just extremely non-academic viewpoint, which is saying that CEOs are revered or they're wizards or they're laser focused, or it's just like such a weird. I don't know why he needs to befriend these people so much, but I just find it.
He needs to show up at his conferences.
I think it's fine if he wants to start a private consultation. He can work for McKinsey. He can become a board member at 10 different companies. Yale. He shouldn't be working at Yale. That's all I'm saying. He shouldn't be an academic. That's where I get all.
Your number two option is Perry Sook, the CEO and founder of Nexstar. So
the first option is Bob Iger, CEO of Disney. Second option, Perry Sook.
So you mentioned Nexstar has to make nice with Brendan Carr, who's the chair of the FCC. This is purely political. This is what Nexstar said about Jimmy Kimmel after, like, he basically said nothing burger, but Nexstar said Nexstar's owned and partner television stations affiliated with the ABC television network will preempt Jimmy Kimmel Live for the foreseeable future, beginning with tonight's show. Nexstar strongly objects to the recent comments made by Mr. Kimmel concerning the killing of Charlie Kirk and will replace the show with other programming in its ABC-affiliated markets. So all they're doing is Nexstar's yanking Kimmel off the air. They'll put something else on during that moment, and remember, Nexstar is summarily making that decision for currently 36% of U.S. households, right? Like 36% of the U.S.
seems way too high.
One cannot access Jimmy Kimmel, regardless of their political leanings or what they would have thought about Kimmel. What Kimmel
they think is funny. Maybe they're not even watching Jimmy Kimmel. Who knows?
Kimmel didn't even say anything. That is. I mean, he said nothing. He phrased it badly. It's stupid.
But this is not about that. This is about
that's the point.
Jimmy Kimmel has been coming after Trump forever. This is about consolidating political power and as to your point, consolidating economic power.
So let's go back to Sonnenfeld, because Sonnenfeld says, quote, Kimmel's suggestion that the MAGA gang is desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them. That's the Kimmel quote that he got yanked from television for. Doesn't square with the facts, which are known at this point. Okay, that it does. He's saying the MAGA doesn't want that kid to be MAGA. He didn't say that kid is MAGA. So that does square with the facts. Regardless, these comments are blatantly insensitive, as political violence should never be tolerated or exploited as comedic entertainment, no matter who perpetrated it.
According to Lord Jeffrey Sonnenfeld.
I mean, Eric Trump actually, for Halloween, after Paul Pelosi was hit in the head by a hammer by a person who didn't like his politics.
Of course.
Took a picture of a hammer and some underwear and said, I'm looking forward to dressing up as Paul Pelosi this year. So,
I mean, look,
that guy's on the board of companies.
To get really dark about this, in some ways, you'd think that they'd celebrate this shooter. I mean, is there anything more macho and American and MAGA for an angry man to pick up a gun and deal with it that way? Isn't that the American way anyway? Shouldn't we be respecting his Wild West ways?
Well, Perry Sook of Nexstar doesn't think so, and Perry Sook's political donations have been almost entirely to Republican candidates over the last decade, and in fact, Perry Sook has got a big stake in this game because Brendan Carr. Here's a headline from late 2024. Brendan Carr, soon to be FCC chair, says commission will back local TV stations even if that's in conflict with broadcast networks. Meaning, Bob Iger went into a negotiation knowing that the FCC is against Disney and for Nexstar. And if Nexstar says, get Kimmel off the air because it'll please Trump and I want this deal, Bob Iger does it. Now,
I got to tell you, I want to talk about Brendan Carr for just 2 seconds. This is why this has nothing to do with speech, right? I mean, with what Kimmel is actually saying. Brendan Carr criticized Zuckerberg not too long ago. He criticized him for that Zuckerberg's call for government regulation as a violation of the First Amendment. This guy used to be a pro First Amendment guy.
Every one of these free speech
I'm just saying,
assholes.
So don't
it's
mistake
my
this for what
speech
it is.
absolutism, not free speech absolutism. There's an asshole action item here. It's too late to vote against Nexstar's board. Their last meeting was in June 2025.
Oh, I didn't even realize they were publicly traded.
Of course, they're publicly traded, and
Perry
Sook only owns 5.8% of the stock. Vanguard and BlackRock own 21.8% of the stock. So if you don't like what Nexstar is doing and saying, you can go to Vanguard and BlackRock and say you better vote against them. But you can also vote. You have a vote here. You can buy the stock and vote.
And I gotta say, one of my favorite things about freeflowanalytics.com is when you go to Nexstar Media Group, which is in the database. This is all for free. If you're confused about who controls this company, you probably should be, because no other data provider will tell you this. But Freeflow Analytics tells you right to your face that Perry Sook controls 78% of board influence. This is his call.
It's his company.
It's his company.
It's his baby.
Data supports it.
But Tony Wells, Bernadette Alastia, and Jeffrey Armstrong, they don't control Nexstar. They're on the board of Nexstar. They're also on the board of Yelp, Denny's, and Urban One, respectively. Feel free to buy those stocks and vote them out.
All right.
Instead of boycotting, vote them out.
All right,
you
so
want
that's your
change? That's what change looks like. That's
second
what
asshole, Perry Sook.
All right,
who's your
third
third?
Asshole, David Denniston Smith, CEO
Smith
of
family.
Sinclair.
Yeah,
Smith family. Sinclair is a weird one because Sinclair's not directly involved with this. They don't have a big merger coming. They don't have anything like that, but they own 20% of ABC affiliates. They're currently the largest. Post-merger, they would be second, but they're currently the largest. Smith is a Nepo baby who, along with the rest of his brothers and family at another publicly traded company, they own 82% of the voting power. And they're Trump toadies. They have been for a long time.
Oh, my God.
He was actually one of Turning Point USA's biggest donors through his foundation.
Yeah. This started with the George W. Bush era, the Sinclair.
Yes, the Bush era. And Sinclair issued this statement. They, quote, would not lift the suspension of Jimmy Kimmel Live on our stations until formal discussions are held with ABC regarding the network's commitment to professionalism and accountability, calling on Kimmel to make a direct apology to the Kirk family and for the network to make a meaningful donation to Turning Point.
I mean,
they want them to grovel. He's
bizarre.
asking them to grovel.
I don't...
petty toady bullshit.
Here's where I just get into my moral bubble of outrage, where I just rock back and forth, going crazy. Is that, and again, I don't advocate political violence. I don't advocate violence, but this man, Charlie Kirk, has said the most abhorrent, racist, misogynistic, anti-gay, anti-trans things that maybe any American has said ever. I don't know. I don't know. I've seen more deplorable statements than from this guy. So let's as you pointed out earlier, these things aren't equal, right? I mean,
yes, there's no equal here.
So the whole Valerie Jarrett thing versus these aren't equal situations.
No one's advocating for shooting a guy.
To the Kirk family. Yeah.
No one is advocating that. We are saying you can be an asshole and someone can call you an asshole, and that's fine. That is free speech. That's the definition of it. If we can't talk about it, then what's the fucking point? Here's the guy.
I just say, before you get to the point, I do want to say that I did read reports that Sinclair is actually one of the reasons why they are involved with this is they are, like Nexstar, actively seeking deregulation. Right. They want the FCC to change the rules because they have a huge. They're into an acquisitions phase. They want to acquire a bunch of companies. So while there's nothing announced right now, there's actually some of the same interests they have
It's
as
all the
Nexstar.
same reasoning.
Yeah.
And this is Sinclair. Let me be clear. There's no Sinclair. It's the Smith family. It's David Smith and his.
Yeah, there is no
his
Sinclair.
brothers.
It's the Smith
there's
family.
it's the
Yeah.
Smith. It's not Sinclair. It's Smith. Okay. This is the guy who wants Jimmy Kimmel to grovel in front of the feet,
As does
of the
Jeffrey
Kirk
Sonnenfeld.
family. This is this guy. In the 2000s, Sinclair Smith allowed a paid Bush administration propagandist to deliver reporting on all of their local news stations. He just broadcast it out and pretended it was news. The Bush administration asked him to do it, and he did it. In fact, during Trump 1.0, Sinclair forced local news broadcasters to read off of a script
Oh, right. I
about
remember
how the
this.
mainstream media was fake news.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
And Deadspin
It's creepy.
actually,
It's very Sinclair was the first company that made it seem like you were living in The Handmaid's Tale. There was something very creepy about them.
really creepy.
Their
If you look at a
presentation-
picture of this guy, he looks like a creepy guy from The Handmaid's Tale.
And more often than not, the people who were reading these weirdly politically charged comments at the Smith Company, whatever they're called, they look like they're like white dudes, very square jaw. They just look creepy. There's something very creepy going on there.
in the 90s,
And I'm a
if we're
white
gonna
guy.
moralize, for the
Same.
90s, Smith was caught getting a blowjob from a prostitute
Oh,
and
what?
written up. Yes.
So no.
Yeah. And
Okay.
I think because you're caught once, like, isn't the time you were caught not the first time? Like,
Yeah.
does anybody ever get caught the first time with their
I
hand in the
wouldn't-
cookie jar?
I wouldn't know. Yeah.
All I'm saying is there's an asshole action item here.
How come Jeffrey Sonnenfeld's not an asshole?
How come Jeffrey Sonnenfeld's not writing about backing Sinclair and Nexstar?
Well, can I
He's
say to
only
your
backing Iger, the guy that is a big deal in his world.
Can I
right?
say to your point, he's so pro-corporate, this guy. Can I say to your point that he also said that if Kimmel refuses to apologize, quote, he can become one of the 20,000 Substack authors writing for each other, end quote. This guy, not only is he
He wants him to grovel too.
he's a troll, but he's also just a troll. Like he just like, and is that so bad in America anyway that if you're not on an ABC owned station making $20 million a year and you're writing for Substack, that makes you lesser than this is Jeffrey Sonnenfeld's joke. I mean, he's just so pro corporate, it makes me sick. But anyway, keep going.
Sinclair's action item.
Yeah.
It's a dual class dictatorship. There's really only two things you can do. You can not watch Sinclair affiliated stations. They have a list of all the stations in every city or county that is affiliated with Sinclair, that Sinclair owns. You could just not watch those stations. That's one thing, but that's going to be hard to do because you got to do a whole bunch of research where you live and which is the station and do I even watch that and whatever. If you do want to vote, there's only one person on the Sinclair board that you can vote out, and that is Dr. Ben Carson,
Oh,
who's
I forgot
on
about
the
that.
DR
Yeah.
Horton board and the
Yeah.
Covenant Logistics boards.
For
Yes,
Smith
that
and
Ben
Carson.
Carson.
Yes,
He's
that Ben
on the
Carson.
Sinclair board.
Yeah.
You can't vote him out there because it's a dual class company. The Smiths own 82% of the voting power, but you can vote him out elsewhere. So those are your three options. It's David Smith, Perry Sook, and Bob Iger.
Well, this is a tough one.
I mean, they're all like equally
I would have
repugnant in this.
I mean, I wish you'd given me Jeffrey Sonnenfeld, but
I know I didn't on purpose.
You know, I will. I could have thrown a dart at this one, but ultimately, the decision here was Bob Iger's.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think.
I mean,
that's the
Perry
correct
Sook.
answer.
I don't agree with the Smith family and Perry Sook. They're entitled to their moral outrage. I mean, they could have had an op-ed. They could have created programming saying they hate Jimmy Kimmel, whatever. They could have posted it right before and right after. Whatever they wanted to do, I would have been okay with. Because to your point earlier, I don't really care about Jimmy Kimmel in the first place.
I literally don't care about him at
But-
all. I don't.
But they have so much media power that they could have created hundreds of hours of programming telling you why they think that Jimmy Kimmel is wrong. But ultimately, it was Bob Iger who made a very quick, almost like too quick decision. Although they did say that they've canceled the show indefinitely, which means that they could bring him back, I suppose, right? I mean,
they pulled it indefinitely. For
which
the
means that he
moment,
could
yeah.
be back on air in 2 weeks.
They
I don't
won't.
know.
They won't until. But here's what I know.
Yeah.
If you want to know about like the important thing to know here, what this does a good job of
Yeah.
is unveiling the fact that while everyone wants to talk about the mainstream media or whatever it is, it's really like five white guys who
Yeah.
control
Now it's 6 because Larry
everything.
Ellison. Yeah.
The Ellison family, like
Yeah.
there's the digital white guys, and that's going to be like the Ellisons
he's both.
now, and
He's
and
both
he's
now.
both, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
But you've got Musk, and you've got Zuck, and you've got Sergey and Larry, and then there's the old school analog white guys, and that is the Perry Souks, the the Sinclairs, the heads
Tim
of every
Cook,
one of the
Bill
broadcasters
Gates.
is
Yeah.
a white guy.
Yeah.
Like they're
I will say
all
this.
it's a handful of incredibly wealthy, generally conservative white males.
who
That's
often
it.
who often run their companies with provisions that allow them to maintain control without the
Almost
input
all the
of
time.
of an independent board or shareholders. Can I add two things? First of all, I apologize for the. We've been speaking like in circles today, mostly because we're riled up by this. So
Yeah, I'm angry.
so we're talking over each other. We're speaking in circles. We'll get back to a mode of decency next week. But I do want to congratulate the board of Sinclair Broadcasting. They actually have a woman on their board.
Wow, where'd they
Did
find
you know that?
one?
Her
No,
name
I
is
did not.
Lori Beyer. That's.
Wow,
I mean, I think that's kind of generous. No.
that's nice.
In this age of anti-DEI, it's nice to have a woman on the board.
That's cute. All right, let's
Yeah.
do headlines, winners, predictions.
How about that? How about the company responsible for so much of our, so many stations across America? They deemed it important to have one woman helping them make decisions.
There's a woman.
One woman. Yeah.
One woman. No, she doesn't get decisions. She's just on the board.
So
It's a
sexism
dual-
is dead, I suppose.
It's a dual class company. All right, what are your
Uh,
headlines of the week?
Mine's easy, quick, says it all. Elon Musk fires 500 staff at XAI, puts college kid in charge of training Grok. That's the AI agent Grok. That's
Wow.
right. That's the meritocracy at work. No, I'm serious. Think about that. Think about that.
He's probably worth it.
Yeah.
Mine is takes a little bit of explanation, but the headline is: if you don't know who the underperforming director is, it might be you.
Okay, I like this.
In the article, an expert goes through a number of questions. Are the CEO, chair, or committee leads soliciting your input off cycle? Does the CEO and select members of the executive team think of me as a trusted advisor? If your answer to these questions are no, it could be a sign that you are not performing to the level expected by your company's management. I picked it because, and I bolded, you are not performing to the level expected by your company's management. If you are a director, you don't report to the company's management. You
Yeah.
represent the shareholder. If
Which
the
is weird.
CEO isn't bringing you in, that's not a problem.
Which is weird because this is from a website called directorsandboards.com. They don't know
so
this.
Confused.
They don't. What are
That
we
seems
doing?
Pretty basic.
Yeah.
So I picked it as my
What are we
headline of the
doing
week because
here?
it basically is like
bizarre.
the CEO of the company you're on the board of doesn't like you. You should
Well, I guess
do
they
something
agree.
about it.
They agree with King Jamie Dimon, I guess. They don't.
It's not your job. Your job is
Right.
not for them to like you. All right, who's the winner of the week? There are no winners this week.
I mean, to me, it's like this is the winner of 2025 every week to me. I mean, and I'm gonna mirror your point at the beginning of the show is that this is all about economics. This is all about pushing power to a very small class of billionaires. I think the Daily Beast called them Trumpy billionaires. So that's my winner once again, and I'm repeating the story. Although it hasn't gone final yet, but I'm sure it will. The two winners who are going to make so much money and control yet another media source, Oracle's Larry Ellison and Andreessen Horowitz's Mark Andreessen, set to own TikTok of all things.
Yeah, good.
Think about that. Think about that.
Mine's
We were
shorter.
just worried last week about Larry Ellison and his dumb Nepo baby taking over, what is it, Warner Brothers and Paramount?
Look.
Now he's getting TikTok.
Imagine the Ellison family owns Paramount, Warner Brothers Discovery, TikTok, and Oracle, the piping for half of the AI like basically everything in the internet is piped
With-
through Oracle.
with
They
no
will own transmission of every piece
with
of
no
information.
with no input from a regular democracy or a shadow democracy. This is just Donald Trump's decision. That's it.
Mine is less depressing.
Okay.
My winner is Gillette,
Oh, the
the razor company. You know,
Bob
like,
Kraft, isn't he Bob Kraft?
yeah, like but they sell razors. You know,
Yeah.
they sell.
They sell Tom
Because-
Brady and the razors.
I saw this headline: Pete Hegseth goes to war against military beards.
Oh yeah, it's the Yankees. the
Stresses
New York
grooming
Yankees.
standards which underpin the warrior ethos.
Yeah,
his
that was
quote.
always the weird thing. I think the Yankees actually finally changed this. But remember, they used to have the dopiest rule. They were the only team.
Yeah.
You had to shave. Like
you
I didn't get
couldn't have
that.
sideburns. Yeah,
Yeah,
whatever.
Ah.
I just think Gillette's the winner in that situation,
I guess you're right. Okay.
aren't they? Like
Yeah,
it's
I'm glad-
American-made razors.
I think you're the winner for the first moment of levity in this horrible show. This has been a difficult show.
Well, what's your prediction? Which is not going to be levity.
My prediction is that FCC chair Brendan Carr is going to cancel himself.
Ooh,
Yeah, because he's going to dig up old reports where and remembers that he himself was a First Amendment purist. He used to denounce efforts by Democrats and Republicans to lean on TV providers and social media platforms. He called that censorship, and he called it a chilling transgression of free speech.
so does he
yeah.
revoke his own license?
Right, so that's what he just did, right?
Yeah.
So he's going to find this again. Maybe his kid will remind him, and he's going to realize like, oh shit, I'm doing that. I'm
man,
destroying free speech. I'm going to cancel myself.
I have to be canceled.
Yes.
That's all right. Mine is not so much a prediction as a prediction come true because I wrote on Blue Sky 2 days ago.
Owned by a woman.
The next step is the only social media I'm going to
CEO.
be on anymore. The
Yeah.
next step for Brendan Carr and the FCC is to repeal Section 230, after which they can sue social media companies for anti-conservative posts. The silencing is complete until dissent is done via snail mail. I can't wait until we're just mailing each other stuff in the mail. And then
the lick
today,
stamps again. Yeah.
today I was correct because they are talking about repealing Section 230. So algorithmic autocracy is complete.
That was
It's
a train wreck
complete.
of a show. That was a messy show.
That was messy. That's Hazelnut Rawless. I'm Real Soul Matt Muscardi. We are free float. God, we were going to do a proxy countdown. I'm too tired, so it's not going to happen. We're going to do
Maybe
it
next week will be easier. Can we get back to like old
yeah, no, of
fashioned
course.
corporate
Yeah,
governance?
everything's gonna calm down next week.
Yeah.
We'll be back then. Until then, goodbye.